We're going to take a look at how to submit work for a self and peer evaluation. The first thing you need to do is go to the activities link, which is right here, and you need to locate the class in which the assignment was given. So you'll notice the entire semester is organized into classes, class 1, class 2, class 3, and so on. Now your very first self and peer evaluated assignment occurs in class 1. So you need to go into class 1 by clicking on that link indicated by the underscore. Once you're inside class 1, it gives a basic breakdown on what's happening in that class and also various other materials like the course outline and resource links for you. But if you scroll right down, you'll notice that there is an icon that looks like this. We've just got a test one set up, but it's identifiable by this little cluster of people indicating a group, a little document with a check mark on it. That's indicating self and peer assessment. Now, you could simply read it from here, but it's important to actually go into the assignment by clicking on it. So if we click there, it takes us directly into the assignment. We can read the steps involved. You should know that there's also access to tutorial videos from within there, and you can simply click on them and gain access. There's also some basic documentation to help you step by step, but essentially we're trying to take a headshot and submit that here in Blackboard for evaluation. So, without any further ado, you need to go all the way down to the bottom. Now there's a few things that are really important. First of all, know what your submission dates are. So you'll notice I've basically got a very short time until I need to get this work in. Take note of that. Also, once you've finished the submission process, you can't evaluate the work right away. You have to wait until the evaluation window opens. And then you've got to make sure you evaluate the work. Not evaluating the work means that you won't get a grade for it. Now, for every evaluation, there's one or more questions that need to be considered in the evaluation. Here, there are 2 questions. We're looking at a headshot and we want to ask the question, is the quality of the image good? Now there might be a number of factors or criteria that go into establishing whether that image is good or not. And the second question is, has the image been posted as an avatar on Blackboard? Well, that's really a yes or no question. So some questions have several criteria that may be involved in the evaluation, and some are really just yes and no answers. So in order to start the evaluation process, you need to make a submission. So this is us in part 1 in submitting. So if I click on question 1, you'll notice it's asking for a response. It's asking a question. Now it's very confusing. When people first do that, they think, well, are they answering this question? And they might type in, yes, the image quality is good. That's not what you want to put in there. What you want to put in there is the actual image that you created. So in order to do that, we're going to attach the file. And we could do it this way using Browse a Computer, or preferentially, we'll do it by clicking on the Insert Edit Image icon right here. You may not see that right away. Your menu bar might look like this. If it does, go all the way to the right-hand side, click on these sergeant stripes or chevrons, then you see this just adjacent to the paperclip, Insert Image. You're now presented with this window and a Browse My Computer button. So click on that. Locate, mine is on the desktop, and there's my headshot, properly cropped as a square. I open it up, and it starts to import it. Now, it's too large as it is, so I'm going to click on the Appearance tab, and I take a look at the largest dimension on there, and I set the largest dimension to 500. You should do this with all your assignments so that the images aren't overwhelmingly large and they're easy to see for the evaluator. I'm going to go back to the General tab and I'm going to give a description of what this image is. And this is really helpful for assistive technology, people that may have visual impairments and such. So I'm just going to describe it. Headshot of professor. And then give it a title, just a basic summary. This is a headshot. Once you've done that, you can then click the Insert button, and it inserts the image. Now, if you need to give any qualifying text or any direction, I boosted the brightness in Photoshop using the image adjust brightness function. Or if there's something not quite right with it, you could give some explanation in there. This is so that the people that are evaluating it have some context to understand what your submission's all about. Okay, so you can see my face. It's in the right format. It's square. I've not attached it, but I've used this function to bring the image in. I now click Next. Now, it's bringing me to question number 2. Has the image been posted as an avatar on Blackboard? Well, I can't really establish that right now. We'll see that later in the evaluation component. But I need to insert that image a second time. So I can click on there. This time I can say Browse Content Collection, and I could find those things in my courses, or you would be able to look for yours. I could just search for headshot. Saying no items found. Okay. I'm just going to upload. Try that again. Browse my computer. There's my headshot. So for every question, you should actually submit a work. So even though it's the same thing. That way it makes sure that it activates the grading for that component. So I've changed the dimensions to 500. Just give a headshot of professor. There it is. It predicts it. And the title, headshot. There we go. Insert that for question number 2. You'll notice now that I've depleted all the questions, I can now click the Submit button. I've officially made my submission, and again, if I look down here, at any point you'll see the status is now completed. Right here, question 2, status completed. You need to see that status as completed because that activates the grading for each one of these evaluation components. At any point before the expiration of the submission window, you can go back and you can change things. So I could go back in here and I could delete that image and add another one in. So just bear that in mind. It can be changed, but as soon as the submission window closes, you're no longer able to access it. So it's really important to know when your submission deadlines are and when your evaluation deadlines are. So it's part of developing a personal discipline regarding time management. So there we have it. And next we'll take a look at the evaluation side.